Some people think these comments are getting old, but I like to think of them as classic. So this will give me an opportunity to talk about this classic topic that I just talked about like 2 weeks ago. When you when you raise the minimum wage, of course prices go up. That's of course it does. What doesn't go up is your static debt, is the static debt that exists out in the population. So as people pay off debt, which of course your bankers don't want that. And whatever the bankers don't want, the big government and the big corporations don't want. Because remember, they're owned by the bankers, right? They're the ones who've lent all this fake money out, these fake dollars they've printed out of nothing. And so, look, that's, of course prices go up. You want that, actually. In fact, what you want is called bottom-up inflation. What we've been getting for the last, 50 years is top-down inflation, and that's the problem. All that's doing is just making a handful of rich people already rich, slightly richer. That's all that's doing. Bottom-up inflation wipes out debt on the bottom layer, and when that happens, it wipes out the currency itself, which is my stated mission here. So, you're not surprising me here with this. It's not, you'll destroy the dollar. That's my stated mission, right? I mean, going back, that is my goal, is to destroy the U.S. dollar, because it's a worthless currency that has no intrinsic or mathematical value of any kind. To your second point about young people don't want to work and they're entitled, blah, blah, this is becoming like the roads and bridges conversation, right? That's how I'm starting to see this. It's like, this is the new roads and bridges thing. Like, who will pay for the roads? Who will pay for the roads? Like, that's what this is turning into. Scientifically, I have debunked this young people don't want to work thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. No, people don't want to work for free. That's the thing. They don't want to work. They don't want to do a bunch of work and not get anything out of it. Right? This is why communism in the Soviet Union collapsed, is because, I'm telling comrades to work, but they don't want to work. Of course they don't want to work. They're not really getting anything out of it. They get a place to live, if you want to call it that, and they get bread, but they don't, there's no incentive to do any work, right? Just like in the free market. I mean, labor is a market like anything else. And if you can't find people to do the work, well, then you have to increase the compensation to get people to show up. This is really simple stuff. And so, young people work, they just won't work for free. They just won't work for the currency that you're paying them, because the currency that you're trying to pay them in is worthless. It doesn't buy anything. Men don't work for money. They work for a result. And if the result is them just working and just scraping by, they're going to stop working. It's just because then there's no way to set a goal and achieve it. People need goals. People need to set and achieve goals. And if they can never achieve their goals, or if the goalpost is always being moved on them, like Lucy with the football, well, then they're going to just say, well, okay, look, this is obviously a rigged game. I'm not going to play anymore. It's the casino analogy I've given probably 100 times. Why would anybody walk into a casino that nobody's in there and everything in there is 100% totally rigged, and you know for a fact you don't have a prayer of winning? If you know that going in, then you're like, why would I go in? Right? Same thing with people. People are no different. Young people do figure this stuff out. It's just that it doesn't fit with boomerism. And let me go into that topic briefly, but boomerism exists because of the idea of being able to print dollars and then just keep pushing that debt off to the unborn, to your kids, your grandkids, and your great-grandkids, and push the inflation off to other countries that eventually get sick of it. And because they've been able to do what's called dollar privilege for so long, it created the boomer. There's a reason why the boomer as a demographic is the most hated species on the planet at this point. Probably more than spiders at this point. That's how bad it's getting. And I'm not picking, I realize dude, hashtag not all boomers. I fucking get that. But dude, you gotta be realistic about this. Look at what's been done. You've got a whole, 3 generations of Americans, and Europeans for that matter, that are all trying to figure out how any of this is supposed to work. They've been lied to their entire lives, told that, if you just work hard, you'll get ahead. And it's that none of that's true, because nobody defined hard work. hard work is synonymous with hard money. I defined it here a couple of times, but nobody remembers that. So people remember 10% of what you tell them anyway. So, and then nowadays it's probably 1%. So people, if they watch my channel, even if you watch all the videos, you probably remember 1% of the stuff that I explained. But that's why I kind of harp on these topics. This is why I don't mind, these classic topics, rearing up like a case of herpes, every few weeks or so. That's just kind of how it works. And I'm okay with it. I'm just pointing out that, no, people will work. They just aren't going to keep working for free. And wages would come up naturally, of course, if you punted all the illegals out of it too.